Ethan Walker stared at the cutting board, precisely dicing tomatoes for the pasta arrabbiata he knew Jessica loved. The kitchen smelled of garlic and fresh basil, her favorite candle flickering on the counter. His phone buzzed. "Baby, working late again? Big presentation tomorrow. Don't wait up. Love you." He sighed, covering the pot. Third time this week. The marketing firm was demanding. He understood that. But lately it seemed like every night brought another crisis, another urgent deadline. He grabbed a beer and collapsed on the couch, scrolling mindlessly through Instagram. Sophia's story popped up, Jessica's best friend and coworker. A boomerang video of champagne glasses clinking, the caption reading, "Thursday night's done right." The rooftop bar looked expensive, downtown skyline glittering behind the group of laughing women. His thumb froze over the screen. There, in the background, was Jessica. Her red dress, the one she wore for important meetings, caught the light as she threw her head back, laughing. Her hand rested on some blonde woman's shoulder, martini glass raised high. The timestamp read 12 minutes ago. Ethan's chest tightened. He replayed the video, screenshotted, played it again. There was no mistaking her, no possibility of misunderstanding. She'd texted him 20 minutes ago about working late, and now here she was, clearly several drinks deep at Skyline Terrace. His mind raced backward through the past months like a film in reverse. The book club that never seemed to finish any books. Her phone, always face down during dinner. Password recently changed for security. The new La Perla lingerie he'd found while putting away laundry. Pieces he'd never seen her wear. Weekend conferences with no name badges, no branded swag she usually collected obsessively. He walked to the kitchen, mechanically putting the food in containers. The pasta would keep. His appetite had vanished anyway. In their bedroom, her pillow still had the indent from this morning, her coffee cup on the nightstand with lipstick marks on the rim. The same lips now laughing at that bar. The same woman who'd kissed him goodbye 12 hours ago, promising to try to escape early if possible. Ethan sat on the bed's edge, phone heavy in his hand. He could call her, confront her now. But something held him back. This wasn't just about tonight. Tonight was merely the thread that, when pulled, might unravel everything. Sleep hadn't come easily. Ethan lay awake reconstructing their relationship's timeline, searching for when things shifted. Jessica had slipped in at 1 a.m., shower running immediately. Washing off the office stress, she had mumbled, avoiding his eyes in the darkness. Her kiss tasted of mint mouthwash, aggressively applied. Morning brought false normalcy. She hummed while making coffee, complained about her exhausting presentation, even showed him a PowerPoint on her laptop, one he noticed was last modified 3 days ago. He nodded, smiled, played along while his mind cataloged every inconsistency. "Ryan's having people over Saturday," he mentioned, testing. "Thought we could stop by." "Oh, I have that team-building workshop, remember? All weekend." She didn't look up from her phone. "Marina's hosting it at her place." Marina. He'd never met Marina. Like Alexander from accounting or Tom from HR, colleagues who existed only in Jessica's stories, never materializing at company parties he attended with her. That evening, while Jessica was at her yoga class, or wherever she actually went on Wednesdays, Ethan opened their shared credit card statement. Charges he hadn't noticed before jumped out. Lux Salon, $300, a day she'd supposedly been in back-to-back meetings. The Velvet Room, an upscale bar, during her mother's emergency visit last month. A charge at Nordstrom for $400 when she told him she was too busy for lunch. His phone rang. Ryan. "Hey man, still coming Saturday?" "Yeah, alone though. Jess has work stuff." Ryan paused. "Bro, didn't her company post about their team building thing being canceled? Saw it on LinkedIn. Budget cuts or something." The words hit like cold water. Ethan pulls up Jessica's company page. There it was, posted yesterday. "This weekend's planned team retreat has been postponed indefinitely as we reassess our Q4 training budget." 3 months ago replayed in his mind. Their cabin weekend, the last time she'd seemed fully present. They'd made love by the fireplace, her skin golden in the flame light. She had traced circles on his chest afterward, whispering about their future, about the kids they'd have, the house they'd buy. But even her promises had felt hollow, like lines from a script she'd memorized but didn't believe. "You still there?" Ryan asked. Yeah, I'm here. Everything okay?" Ethan watched Jessica's car pull into the driveway, yoga mat nowhere in sight. "I don't know yet." 2 weeks of careful observation taught Ethan more about Jessica than 2 years of trust ever had. Tuesdays and Thursdays were her late nights. Her stories grew more elaborate: emergency client calls, server crashes, mandatory overtime. She'd return home with wine on her breath and explanations on her lips, sliding into bed with her back turned. He became a detective in his own life. When she showered, he checked her phone's location history. Disabled. Her laptop, once casually shared, now required fingerprint access. She'd started doing her own laundry, claiming she wanted to help more around the house. Thursday arrived. Ethan left work early, parking down the street from her office building. At 5:15, he watched her exit, but instead of heading to the employee parking garage, she walked 2 blocks to a silver Audi he didn't recognize. She'd changed from her morning outfit into a black dress he'd never seen. Following 3 cars behind, he watched her drive not to any office, but to Crystal Towers, an upscale apartment complex. His hands gripped the steering wheel as she used a key fob to enter the underground parking. Not visiting, she had access. Back home, Ethan's fingers trembled as he searched social media. Crystal Towers, Unit 1247, the parking spot number he'd glimpsed. LinkedIn provided the answer. Daniel Morrison, VP of Sales at her company, recently divorced. Photos showed a handsome man, early 40s, salt and pepper beard, expensive suits. His Instagram was full of wine tastings, European trips, the exact restaurants matching Jessica's credit card charges. The final confirmation came from Sophia's Facebook. A company holiday party photo from last month. Jessica and Daniel in the background, his hand low on her back, her face turned toward his with an expression Ethan recognized. She'd looked at him that way once, back when their love was new and thrilling. That night, Jessica came home glowing. "Productive day?" he asked. "Exhausting," she said, "but good. Daniel, Mr. Morrison, says if this project goes well, I'm looking at a promotion." "That's wonderful, babe." The lie came easily now. He'd learned from the best. She showered, her second of the day presumably. In bed, she reached for him, her hands familiar on his skin. For a moment, he let her, curious if he'd feel different knowing where those hands had been. But her touch felt like a stranger's now, each caress a betrayal. "I'm tired," he said, turning away. "You're always tired lately," she murmured. But her protest was weak, relieved almost. Friday evening arrived with unusual clarity. Ethan had prepared carefully, not for drama, but for closure. When Jessica walked in, claiming another late night had left her exhausted, he was sitting at the dining table with 2 wine glasses and an open bottle of Malbec, her favorite. "Thought we should talk," he said quietly. Her eyes darted between him and the wine, sensing a trap. "About what? Everything okay?" He pulled out his phone, showed her the screenshot from Sophia's story. "The rooftop bar. You looked beautiful in your red dress." Color drained from her face, then flooded back. "Ethan, I can explain." "Please don't." His voice stayed calm. "We both know there have been too many explanations already." She sank into the chair across from him. For a moment, the mask dropped entirely. She looked tired, older somehow, carrying the weight of her deceptions. "How long have you known?" 2 weeks, but I think I've suspected longer. Daniel Morrison, right?" Her sharp intake of breath was confirmation enough. "How did you—" "Does it matter?" He poured wine for them both. "What I really want to know is why." Jessica's hands wrapped around the glass, trembling slightly. "You wouldn't understand."
Try me." The words poured out then, not just about Daniel, but about everything. Her fear when Ethan had suggested moving in together, the panic when he'd mentioned marriage at his sister's wedding, how their stability felt like drowning, how his love felt like chains. The lying, she admitted, became addictive. The thrill of almost getting caught, of living this double life. With Daniel, it's not even about love. It's about feeling alive, feeling dangerous. God, I sound pathetic. "You sound lost," he corrected. She reached across the table for his hand. "We could work through this. Couples therapy. I'll end it with Daniel. No." He pulled away gently. "You're not sorry about what you did. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference." Later, in what would be their last night together, she tried to seduce him. Her familiar touch turned desperate, hoping physical connection might bridge what was irreparably broken. Her lips found his neck, hands sliding under his shirt, movements practiced from 2 years of intimacy. He caught a wrist gently. "We both know this isn't about wanting each other. It's about you not wanting to be alone with yourself." She pulled back as if slapped. Then, surprisingly, she laughed. Bitter but genuine. "When did you become so insightful?" "When I stopped believing your lies and started seeing the truth."
6 months later, Ethan stood in his new apartment. Smaller, but undeniably his. Morning light streamed through windows he'd chosen, illuminating furniture he'd selected without considering anyone else's opinion. His phone sat face up on the counter. He had nothing to hide, no one to hide from. The divorce had been swift, uncontested. Jessica had moved in with Daniel within weeks, though Sophia had mentioned they were already having problems. "She's doing the same thing to him," she'd messaged, apologetic about her inadvertent role in the revelation. Some people can't help but destroy what they have. Ethan felt no satisfaction in this news, only a distant sadness for the woman he'd once loved, who seemed incapable of accepting love in return. His phone buzzed. Nina, from the coffee shop where he'd become a regular. "Still on for book club tonight? Fair warning, we actually read the books." He smiled, typing back, "Wouldn't miss it. Should I bring anything?" "Just yourself. That's enough." It was such a simple response, but it held weight. Being himself was enough. No performances, no pretenses, no paranoid checking of stories against facts. The book club was exactly as advertised. 7 people passionate about literature, arguing enthusiastically about character motivations over wine and cheese. Nina sat beside him, her phone face up on the table, occasionally showing him funny messages from her sister. When she introduced him to her friends, it was straightforward. "This is Ethan. We met at Common Grounds." Later, walking her home, she asked about his past relationships. He told her about Jessica, honestly, but without bitterness. "That must have been devastating," she said. "It was, but it taught me something valuable." "What's that?" "Real love doesn't hide in shadows or speak in lies. It shows up, consistently, transparently, even when it's inconvenient or unsexy or boring." Nina stopped walking, looked at him directly. "That's beautiful. Sad, but beautiful." 3 weeks later, going through his phone photos, he found the last pictures of Jessica. Their trip to Miami, her smile bright but performative even then. He selected them all, hesitated for a moment, then deleted them. Not from anger or spite, but from acceptance. That chapter was closed. His phone immediately filled the space with new memories. The book club laughing at his dramatic reading, Nina's face covered in flour from their disastrous baking attempt, Ryan giving a thumbs up at his housewarming party. Love, he'd learned, wasn't just about trust. It was about being trustworthy. It wasn't just about being loved. It was about being lovable as your authentic self. The truth, no matter how painful,
had set him free to find something real. The story of Jessica felt like something that had happened to someone else now. He was grateful for the lesson, even grateful for the pain. It had led him here, to this moment, to this truth. He was enough, just as he was.